Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. Today we will be talking about polymorphism in object-oriented programming. So we have already seen for object-oriented programming. In object-oriented programming, we have seen what are the 8 core steps to master object-oriented programming. These are: one is classes and objects, attributes and methods, encapsulation and property method, and inheritance. So we have already covered these. If you are just started with this session, I recommend you go through these sessions and then come back to this session. Polymorphism. Okay, so let's get started. What is polymorphism? Let's define polymorphism. So as we have already seen, what is inheritance? Any child class that inherits attributes and methods from the parent class, it's called inheritance. So the child is just inheriting the attributes and methods. So polymorphism is little different. So polymorphism, it allows objects of different classes to be treated through common interface. Okay, so polymorphism has a super keyword. So that super keyword, using that super keyword, it lets subclasses call methods or constructors of its parent class. So you see the difference. Inheritance just inherits the attributes and methods of the parent class, whereas polymorphism, it gives the power to the subclasses to call the constructors or methods of the parent class inside the child class. So here is a simple example that you can see. I have a class parent. Inside my class, I have a greet method. So I have a child class and I'm inheriting the parent class in my child class. Now, I have method inside the child class also. Now what I say is super dot greet. When I say super dot, that means I'm calling the method from the parent class and calling inside my child class. So this is where the polymorphism comes in picture. Now let me execute this program. Okay, so I get two hellos and one hi from child. So when we are calling this parent dot create, so it's directly just goes to the parent class and picks up accesses that method and prints hello. Now in the child class, we are accessing parents methods by saying super dot greet, and we are able to print one more hello here. Now inside the child class, when I'm calling the child class, it calls two methods, one method from parent class, one method from the child class itself. So the last two, the outputs that you see, these are called from child class. The child class called a method of the super class by saying super dot greet and printed its the method that it has in the child class itself. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Let's move forward. So let's revise the definition of polymorphism. What is polymorphism? It allows multiple classes to define the same method name but with different logic. It helps write flexible, reusable code that can work with different types of objects. Okay, so let's see what's the purpose of polymorphism. So what does polymorphism do? It lets subclasses override parent behavior while still reusing it. So in inheritance, we just inherit the behavior of the parent class, but in polymorphism, we override the behavior. So we'll override the behavior of parent class and reuse also the methods from the parent class. And also we can call the methods of the parent class from the child class itself. So we can initialize. And it also simplifies method resolution across complex hierarchies. Okay, so let's see a sample program here using the ride sharing app example. We have already been seeing that. So I have a base class called ride, and I'm initializing my first method and giving the attributes customer and distance in kilometer. So here is my constructor that initializes ride details data. Okay, now next I have a method that calculates base fare inside my ride class. Next, I I create one more class called mini ride. So this is my child class that inherits parent class. What is my parent class? Ride. Now I use uh, underscore definition underscore underscore. So I inherit all these um, data, all the data and attributes and methods from the parent class, and also I'm initializing my mini write class also. Okay, so now I'm using super dot underscore underscore init customer and distance in kilometer. So I'm calling the super class and initializing also in my child class along with the attributes that it has. So I'm bringing all of them. So why we are using this super underscore underscore init? So in Python, if you override underscore underscore init in a child class, the parent class's init is not called automatically. Okay, so if you call a subclass, the parent class is not initialized in Python. So even the mini write inherits from the write. So you can see mini write, it inherits the base class, that is write class. But if we don't call this super dot underscore underscore init, this self dot customer and self dot and distance underscore kilometer, they won't exist. Okay, so this type of call super dot underscore underscore init customer comma distance, it will ensure parents constructor logic is reused. Okay, now I'm defining a calculate fare. Okay, so inside my child class, now this method overrides write version. So in write class also, I have calculate fare. Now by calling this and by defining this method, now I'm overriding my base class. So even though method name is same, it gives different behavior. So my method name in my base class is also same, child class is also same. But since I'm using polymorphism here, it overrides my base class. Now this method will become subclass. So what's the difference here? In base class, I have fare calculation as distance into kilometer 10. But in my subclass, my fare calculation is distance into 8 because I'm doing a mini ride. So which is obviously it's cheaper. So now let's take another child class example. So I have class called prime ride. So it also inherits the main class, base class, that is ride. Now here also I'm using super dot underscore underscore init customer comma distance kilometer. So here I'm initializing the base class also, and I'm getting those details into my subclass. So now when I do this, I reuse the initialization of customer and distance from main right, that is base class, which avoids the duplication of logic and makes code cleaner. Okay. Now here one extra thing that I'm adding is luxury charge. So I'm extending my base class extra feature only in prime. So only in prime class I'm adding this extra feature. Now, when I again define my DEF calculate fare, this method, even though method name is same in my base class, here it treats this method as prime writes method and it overrides. So what is the calculation here? Uh, super dot calculate fare plus self luxury charge. So whatever be the luxury charge, it will be applicable here. So here, why use super dot calculate fare? We already seen. So we want to reuse the base fare from right and just add premium charge. So what I'm saying, whatever the base fare that I have in my right class, that is distance into 10, I want to reuse the same logic. So which is my logic here? Distance into 10 kilometer. Then on top of that, I just add luxury charge. So what is the luxury charge that will be applicable? Extra prime. So I do a plus. So it's like I'm overriding my already existent method by using it, by initializing it inside my child class by using super dot underscore underscore init. I'm getting those methods and calling those methods and extending those methods. Now, actual polymorphism, when it comes in action, so you write another function, def print write fir. Okay, so here you define a method. So this function is unaware whether write is mini or prime write. Okay, so we defined a function is unaware. It simply assumes the write object has calculate fair method inside it. Okay, so inside this inside this function, I'm doing a write dot calculate fair. Okay, so I'll call an object. Okay, so at runtime, Python automatically resolves the correct method depending on the object's actual call. So it will dynamically fetch. So whatever type of call you're doing, it will dynamically fetch. For example, when I'm doing uh, write 1 is equal to mini write, write 2 is equal to prime write, and along with the luxury charges, and then I'm passing this write 1 to my print write fair, that is this function. So this function takes all these attributes, like for example the customer name and calculate fair. So since this is mini write, I'm doing a mini write, so this will call mini write class, and it will calculate the fare 10 into 8. And then since I'm doing prime write, it will call the prime write class, and it will execute my base class method, adding overriding luxury charge to it. So that is how it will work. So that is how polymorphism works here. Okay. So now what is super keyword here? So we are using super keyword. Super is used to call methods or constructors. So whatever the methods that we have inside the class or constructors we have from the parent class, we are calling that in child class. So that is what super keyword means in Python. So what does it do? It ensures that inherited logic runs properly, especially useful when you are extending or modifying behavior. Okay, so for example, you can see using super, you write a class and you write a subclass and you use super here. So when you use super here, yeah, you can see person call init called, student init called, student also initialize the call to the parent class. Okay, as well as child class. So what happens when you skip super logic? Parent, if you skip initializing or calling the super keyword. So without super keyword, only subclass is called. Parent class is not called. Parent class is skipped here. So you can see I didn't call super here. So I just said S is equal to student of Ali, comma B. Okay. So now my parent class is not called. So my parent behavior uh, is inherited, but I'm not able to use those inherited behaviors. To use those inherited behaviors or methods or call from the subclass, I should use superclass from inside the subclass. Okay, so so that is what we have seen here. Now, so I have put a small mini exercise for you. Just go through it and do some hands-on and try out how this polymorphism works in Python. Okay. So to summarize, what is polymorphism? Polymorphism is a concept in object-oriented programming that enables you to reuse and initialize the objects of the parent class from the subclass. Okay. So it has super keyword which helps you reuse and extend the parent class logic. So that is the main keyword that is used in Python to use polymorphism. Always use superclass in overridden underscore underscore init to avoid missing setup. So, okay, so we are using super along with underscore underscore init so that we also initialize the parent class along with calling the parent class, we initialize it. Okay, so that's it for today. We'll meet next time. Until then, like you, bye bye, take care.